HR is actually not allowed to use AI in any part of the process.
I've been saying for at least a year that the employment systems we have are just completely broken. Welcome to another episode of AI After Hours. Each month, we cut through the AI hype by answering the top questions and calling bullshit on the headlines that we don't think make any sense. Join us for a monthly roundup of AI news and real insights into what's true and what's not in the world of artificial intelligence. Have a question or a topic? Email us at support@AI Career Boost to join the conversation. Now let's dive into the world of AI together.
I'm your co-host, Yuying Chen-Wynn, a technology product executive with extensive experience in AI, fintech, and edtech, ex-chief product officer turned chief AI officer, most recently leading everything generative AI at the financial company Peak Six and its family of companies. And now I independently consult companies on everything generative AI, specialize in building high-performing teams and actually understanding what it means to meaningfully leverage AI into your business. And I really love talking about AI, especially with my co-host.
And I am that co-host. My name is Polly Allen, and I'm the founder of AI Career Boost, where I spend my time helping product leaders navigate the world of AI and thrive in AI leadership roles. And I've spent my career on both the product development and product management sides of the fence, ex-Alexa AI, principal product manager, where I was fortunate enough to be leading the team that launched the very first generative answers on Alexa back in 2020. I also just love talking about AI. Especially with Yuying. Yuying, let's jump into it. What are you drinking today in today's After Hours episode?
You look a little bit healthy with your water jug over there.
I'll tell you in a sec.
Can you tell based on the color?
Oh, no, some kind of cool tropical situation.
It's a margarita. It's a classic. Hello, what else is this color? I don't have the felt rim because I'm not that fancy.
Nice.
It's a hot day in LA. So, margarita it is.
Fantastic. Well, okay, here's the story. I just started a GLP-1 medication.
Okay.
The Ozempic.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so we're tracking your progress. Okay.
That's right. Well,
getting the side effect.
I really literally started it last night, but I've heard that it does give you some aversion to alcohol, etc. It's also incredibly important you get your protein. So sadly enough, I'm drinking clear protein shake.
There was non-alcohol protein water that we got going up.
But here's the part. I picked something that's terrible for me in terms of how bad it's chemically it sounds. They have a Spike and Ike's watermelon flavored protein. And I don't know. The craziest part.
Okay. Well, a flavor review, Polly likes it. Oh,
that's right. Exactly. So it can be like a guilty pleasure even when I'm drinking clear protein powder shakes.
All right.
I'd like.
All right. Wow. You got to turn up the energy yourself then.
Right. That's right. Exactly.
All right. Okay. With that, we're going to start with our monthly news roundup for the month of June. It's getting hot. It's getting sizzling. And that's the same with all the headlines. Okay. All right. As always, well, not always. There's a lot of lawsuits involved in AI, but we're going to start with partial win, I would call it.
Yeah.
So Anthropic nabs partial win for fair use case in copyright. So here's the details of what we can glean. Anthropic actually bought physical books. Okay? They digitized it, they scanned it all in, they OCR'd it, and they used it to train their model, and especially for writing samples. Now, I do use, and I prefer Claude Anthropic for writing because I do think it writes better. So I would say that what they were doing did produce an outcome. Now, the thing is was that fair use? They purchased it. It had been shifted enough. So the partially fair use in terms, and this is the first of its kind, is because the judge said it was enough of a transformation from the original book that it's fair use. What's your take on this one?
Yeah, it's so interesting. So a lot of people don't understand copyright is not a clear cut as am I using these exact words and sentences? There's a lot of different factors that go into it, including commercial disruption. Is the original author disrupted by your use of it? So I was surprised that they went this way with this. And it was interesting to me that they do say you have to have purchased it. So some of its content was not purchased. Some was actually some of these.
That's why the partial.
Exactly. It is a big win. It's a big win for LLM providers. And it kind of paves the way potentially for the New York Times offers a $10 a month subscription.
Right.
If somebody at OpenAI bought a $10 a month subscription, can they now just take and repurpose all the content from the New York Times? That's kind of what that's sort of paving the way for. And
Well,
so
I
it's
wonder.
it's pretty substantial, this finding for sure.
So a lot of your AI web searches right now will give you summaries and content from content that's behind the paywall. So you'll see summaries, etc., and then you'll click over, and if you haven't paid for it, you can't read it. So I wonder if this sets the precedence. Perplexity is under a lawsuit with BBC, which I'm assuming is something very similar. Perplexity is an online AI web search that gives you some of these summaries behind the paywall. So this is definitely interesting to watch. This is the first time, I believe, where they said, okay, in this case, you bought the physical book, you translated, you're reading it, it's okay to use. When we get more and more specific cases that gets ruled on, we'll get more clarity, because you're right, copyright law did not take into consideration what's going to happen with AI today.
Right, exactly.
All right. Yeah, that was fascinating. It is the first of its kind, so we will watch out for more and see how the other cases rule. The second one, maybe we're not surprised. So we all know the job market's been a little tough.
Weird.
Okay.
Weird. Yeah.
Surprisingly, that we're only hearing about this as a headline now. Employers are buried in AI-generated resumes. Now, if you have been in the job market recently, you know there's AI platforms, there's AI tools. There's ones that will automatically apply for jobs on your behalf. They're generated resume, generated cover letters, generated referrals, everything there is. Of course, they are being overwhelmed. Now, here's the thing that people don't know why this is such a problem is regulatory-wise on the hiring side, because of Fair Employment Act, HR is actually not allowed to use AI in any part of the process, because you could be you have bias in your algorithm that keeps people out of opportunities. And very actually famous Amazon case where they tested it out and that was true. So you have this very one-sided where AI is all on the applying side. The employer side are not allowed to use it. You think it's hard? Think about the HR person who posted up 4 minutes ago and now has 200 applications that they have to read through.
Ooh. And they're not allowed to use AI.
You are, yeah. And if you do, you have to disclose, people can sue you. You have to prove that you don't have bias, and you have to show what your bias is, all of which HR is not and, state by state, the legality is different.
Right. Exactly. No, it's really complex, but a lot of people don't get, I don't know. I've been saying for at least a year that the employment systems we have are just completely broken. So when people are like, I've been applying for 40 jobs for months and months, I was like, please, one, no, it's not you. And two, understand that our usual understanding of how this works. It's not working. The math isn't mathing, because everyone can apply for jobs they're half qualified for.
Yep.
And ChatGPT will do a great job of pitching you for it. And so we connects the resumes. Now, it's been quite a while that the only way I've been seeing people get interviews is through warm referrals. Because you can imagine, as the hiring manager, you're sitting there like, I guess I'll look through 100,000 resumes tonight somehow. Or, hey, there's a hot lead from someone at your company. And that's because hey, this person's fantastic. Which resume are you going to look at?
Right. Especially, I actually know that person. I actually know what they do versus ChatGPT trumped it up.
Completely. And that's hardly fair and unbiased either. But it's just people trying to get by, right? It's just reality today. So
yeah, no answers, no solutions. It is a problem. Hopefully, at least knowing what's going on makes you feel like they're.
You're right. Absolutely match. But it's been 80% for network, 20% of the other way.
Now we feel the ability to actually do a human. Most viable skill. Okay, let us go into something a little more interesting, less about the downside. Yeah. Okay. Google has a new Gemini model that runs on robots locally. That means the robot does not have to connect to the Wi-Fi to be able to talk to you and have questions and perform tasks and generate code for without internet access. Here's my the chemistry. Oh, I'm far away from iRobot. Like unzipping bags and folding clothes. Now, I really like the folding clothes one because I'm my line. This I wanted to be
All
like
clothes can it fold fitted sheet.
I can't fold
Still
fitted sheets.
unimpressed. AM.
I can't fold fitted sheets.
Exactly.
But yeah, it doesn't have to have internet access. I love that, especially when you think about elderly, you think about senior homes, you think about the more underdeveloped areas. For these things, even simple things, watering plants, sweeping the floor, etc. I am waiting. I am waiting. I think my retirement age will coincide with these robots coming in and folding my clothes.
Exactly.
Put that out of alignment.
I love that. It's converging to the perfect timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
Age, I never.
Self-driving cars, robots that fold my clothes, they make smoothies for me. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'll be good.
It is true because it's definitely the case that we're like, oh, never saw a future where it was like, okay, instead of me doing creative stuff and having robots working for me do menial tasks, now we have robots that can like write poetry, but so I have more time to do my own dishes and fold my own laundry. No, let's get this on the right track.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go draw some pictures with AI. That's what I'm gonna do when the other robot is folding my clothes. Okay. This is the last one I'm highlighting. This is the last one I'm highlighting in terms of. I always like to tell a little bit about what research is finding out. Talk kind of driving scares and you wrote a article that it's never before. So, now, the research, Waymo versus the top driving, see them all over San Fran. Now they're in Austin, etc., and in LA. Waymo research has confirmed that the self-driving skating wall. So remember, LLMs got to be as powerful as they are because they discovered that this brand new skating wall, the more data, when we talk about going from millions to billions and more, the more compute, the more data leads to better driving. Awesome. That's great. That means the more we do this, the better it gets. I always like those kind of on the cycle. So, of course, Waymo has now a research, and then their autonomous vehicles. You wonder about all those spinning things on there. They're collecting data constantly. The more they're deployed, the more data they have, the better they will be. Increasing the training data directly leads to better AV performance. So, that case, have you written one?
I haven't yet. I've got it. I mean,
I was
it's not where I am, but I've seen them in action. And I do remember I went to a conference down in San Francisco and I had to walk the last like 6 blocks because traffic was stuck. And when I got there, it was because there were 2 Waymo vehicles that had stalled on a busy street and I can't get around them. I was like, this is my most San Francisco day possible right now.
Yeah, exactly. I was in Austin and there was a left turning lane. It was 3 Waymos, but one was a little bit angled. So everybody was like kind of just stuck behind them.
But they get confused, especially as a group. You're like, oh no.
Yeah, I know. I said that last time. I just want to run up and see if I can confuse it some more, but it was doing a good job on itself.
That's right. And it's like, I have heard from lots of people that it's like very like, I'm space age, I'm futuristic. The first time you step in on one, you're like, is this crazy cool or is it going to feel dangerous? And then like 10 minutes later, you're like scrolling your phone, like you just have forgotten.
Yeah.
This is even futuristic at this point. It's wild to think how quickly we adapt.
Does it feel like the AI world is also making a slower summer? I'm like, there's usually, this news, this is pretty good. It's nice and tight. There are some model releases. The Gemini 2.5 Pro is now stable and released. There's AI mode, just your normal model upgrade.
I feel like we've adapted to this new speed just for in time to explode again. It's my guess. Even faster.
AI people will also take vacation of the summer. Right afterwards, we're going to explode again. And that wraps us up for our monthly news roundup.
Awesome. Excellent. June was an exciting month. Well, next up, we have our top questions. So we research questions. And actually, this question this week comes from my monthly masterclass webinar. So every month, I hold a masterclass, free masterclass on the path to AI product leadership. Hey, what's happening in the job market and what are the key skills that product leaders need to be gaining to get buy-in and to thrive leading AI projects. And at the top of these masterclasses, every month I ask, hey, what are the biggest things people are struggling with today? I get their biggest struggles. And interestingly, by a mile this month, it was getting buy-in. And it was interesting because it was like,
buy-in for what?
Yeah. So it was a combo of, I think it was getting a buy-in and adoption. So we think sometimes buy-in, like getting buy-in from executives and stuff like that. But there was a lot of people talking about getting buy-in, or what if there's too much buy-in? So it's like, and I think it's like this, it's like misinformed buy-in. It's from what I was reading between the lines, right? So there were a lot of people saying, okay, we still have boards and CEOs just telling us to do whatever that means. Do it,
Yep.
do it.
Yep.
And at the same time, we're past pilots now, right? That was 2023, 2024, where the first, like, let's do a pilot. Now we're actually rolling out, say, internal changes, but no one's doing it. We can't actually like get adoption of these things internally, right? Or I might have like, hey, they have pie in the sky ideas of like these magic things that should happen tomorrow with AI. And I come back and I say, well, here's this reasonable thing that is with the security considerations and hallucinations not being a solvable problem. Here's what we can do. And I can't get buy-in for the simple thing to get us started because it's magic, right? This mismatch of expectations to like what is really something companies, especially companies new to AI, can and should be tackling that are within the zone of risk that those companies are really willing to take. I don't know. I knew you'd have some really great insights from your experience.
Yes, we had a lot of that, and I take issue with the purple sparkle icon that is now the universal icon representation
It's
for
a magic
AI.
wand.
I'm like, that it just everything goes AI. It's magic. It's magic. Look at quick. Everything just starts scrolling, and people's assumption whenever they see those demos, and those are the ones that everybody loves, and you get them all the time. People type one sentence, and you get hundreds of current research paper, etc., and all they're like, oh.
If you have not tried it, go to lovable.dev, try it out, just type in an idea and see how much it does for you. That's a 0 to wow moment.
Yeah.
Like the time to wow is like 2 seconds.
It's nothing, and it's $20 a user a month or free, right? So not only do you have the time expectation that's immediate magic, and that in terms of actual cost, almost nothing until you go, okay, what can I do with this? You're like, wait, it generated an app. Like, can you use it? Can you deploy it? Can someone else log in? Can you prevent someone on the internet just deleting all your data just because they know that is all open? So I have to say, this is the thing, I am slightly biased because I come from an ed tech background, but we got to our 87% plus adoption because we put out an education program. We started to teach people how to think about it, how to use it, when to use what, and how far is it going to get you, and when is it going to stop?
Yeah.
There was no other around it. You realize people first started using it, you're like, oh, they're used to Google search. They're typing in keywords, and which you get really bad answers. Or, oh, they're used to how technology trained them to behave before. Then you shift them to how to use it now. They go, magic. They assume magic applies to everything. And if you don't understand applications and code, you go, but the code is already written. Why isn't it working like everything else I'm used to? Because they've never had to deal with how does it go from pieces of code to being right, to being hosted, to you can log in and actually do all of those things. It's not their specialization, but those are all the pieces that aren't in yet. Outside of education itself, part of what I do is I actually specifically demo the breaking point. You go, look, awesome. Look what just happened. So much of what you see for the AI demos is so polished. So you get, or I'm like, in 3 minutes.
Well, and of course, like that's the nature of our attention span. We can only absorb 3 minutes. They want you to take away that it works. And so they demo a really simple use case with no edge cases. And that's the problem across a whole of agentic AI right now too. Is that like, building a quick and easy demo is simple. Actually implementing this that works with interaction with real people is complicated and hard.
Yeah. So you demo to the executive, to the board with your magic. They go, great, you're green lit. A week later, why aren't you done yet? You showed me that in 2 minutes. You have the whole week now.
That's right. It feels like there hasn't been that time to mature for leadership to understand what's easy and what's hard. So they see something that's easy, and that doesn't mean that we suddenly like got a really great infosec and content security compliance set up in a week to actually understand who should have access to what and got it implemented. But yeah, when we take expectations of AI and start applying them to people, that's really scary, right?
Yeah, exactly. What nuggets did you give them?
I think the biggest thing I find is that people spend like 80% of their effort on deploying and building the systems, and 20% on like change management and adoption. And there's a twofold problem with that. One is that like you weren't checking in regularly as you go that this actually works for their workflows. And setting those, trying to set those expectations, right? So yeah, like they do need an education. Yeah, I think you still also need an education piece, but it's like if you hadn't been building alongside with them collaboratively, even if you're just 2 degrees off, by the time you're 2 months in, you're off by a big distance. But it's also something that you haven't allayed their fears, and that's a big thing. I see people having a lot of like fear, or even like feeling like AI is immoral, is cheating. I don't agree with that copyright finding that the judge found. I think that they're stealing content. People will not use systems if they feel like they're immoral. They won't use systems if they really feel like they're not in their best interest. So it's like, oh, hey, we've got these tools and it's going to speed you up, and try it out without an overall message of like, here's our plan. We will not be replacing human jobs with AI, or maybe you will, but it's like, if you don't have a plan, they're going to make up the worst case scenario in their own heads, right? So having like a clear company strategy, and it's going to be a lot of change for basically the entire workforce. Change management, like if this is not something you're good at, this is totally what consultants are for, right? Bringing in consultants who can help you navigate like finding the champions and actually navigating this successfully. Because a lot of organizations have never had to go through this degree of change before.
Yeah. Your normal L&D, your normal change management people are not equipped for this, right? Yeah. So thank you for the tee up, Polly. No.
So we didn't discuss this before. There's a plant in the
audience. Yeah, there's a plant in the audience. One of the things we really focus on in our change management outside of the education piece was we had a KPI to go how many of the cool AI applications was built by people not on the AI team. Not that was literally like, did not get built by Yuying, did not get touched by Yuying. You didn't help on this one. And we were very specifically aiming for that number, because that's how you know when people are actually, they're getting it, they understand the potential, and they're using it in their jobs in ways that I could never understand because I don't do their job, right? So that, change management, I know, not the sexiest word, but trust me, that makes a difference.
Exactly. It's the people that adoption is your struggle. It's the people involved. You can get that adoption, you'll get the buy-in from managers that this is working, from leadership. Right?
Yeah, because in the end, you know what? They're looking for that ROI, and they're like, hey, all these POCs, where's my ROI? I'd be like, you're missing a piece. All right. That is our serious.
That's our serious question for the day. Exactly.
Yeah. How to switch gears. We need some balance. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. So then, yes, for the balance, what's our next section?
My favorite section of all podcasts, all time, no bias, maybe some BS in AI. This is what every month. Yeah. Full of margaritas. Let's go. We're ready for this. What makes us red? What drives us crazy? What is absolutely BS? And you should not pay attention to it outside of listening to us laughing at it.
That's right. Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I think you should go first.
Okay. So my BS was all the hoopla over the Apple paper that came out in June that was called The Illusion of Thinking. So they were basically, Apple did a study called The Illusion of Thinking, Understanding the Strengths and Limitations of Reasoning Models. And importantly, they found some new ways of evaluating, especially these new reasoning models that use reasoning tokens, putting air quotes around reasoning, to quote unquote think through a problem and come up with a solution. And they found that every single model that's out there, the most advanced models, everything, as soon as you take a problem and make it a little more complex, they all fall down and stop working. And yeah, and that is the reaction I expected you. Like, so, it's kind of,
When?
I read this paper. Here's what I'm like, here's the pre-hoopla take, and then here's what the hoopla did instead, right? So I remember reading this paper and thinking, oh, interesting. Like, I had absolutely no expectations that these models can solve complex higher order problems like they were throwing at it. I thought it was interesting that they were saying, hey, our current way of evaluating these models and discussing, oh, is it better or reasoning or not, is flawed. And that we're just throwing like this, we have a big bank of PhD level questions that we're going to assume are complex because they're higher level PhD questions or they're kind of math and reasoning problems. And we're going to throw them at that, see how well they do. And the better they do on those set of questions, the more able to reason they are, right? Instead, they took a bunch of classical problems from computer science that basically get more complex as you add a number to it, right? So the classic one is towers of Hanoi. Do you remember this one?
Yeah.
Right, just like you've got plates and you've got to move them from peg 1 to peg 3. And you've got to move them without ever putting a
Different
small
constraints,
plate on a larger plate. You only have 3 pegs. If you have one disc, you move the disc over. If you have 2 discs, you move the smaller disc to the middle, you move the larger disc, you move the second disc over, right? It gets more and more complex the more discs you add. So it's like, it's nice because you just formulate the problem once and then you say, okay, give me an answer for 1, for 2, for 3, for 4, and you see where these models all fall down, right? So there's several different kind of the chicken and the fox crossing the river problem, stuff like that, right? And basically, they weren't asking it to come up with the algorithm for how you solve these. They were asking it, hey, list out the steps that I would have to take. And like nearly universally, they did okay on the steps I just described, 1 through 3.
Right.
As soon as you get to 10, which, has like thousands and thousands of steps, they all fail, like 0% accuracy. So my point is, I don't think there's anyone super involved in the industry who found that result incredibly surprising at all.
Yeah.
But I did think, hey, that is a new, interesting, novel way to think about evaluating these models and like, oh, hey, how can we adapt that to our own industries and think about what are those problems where we can easily turn up and down the complexity to see where it breaks. It was basically my thought. Cool. But the hoopla, what erupted out of this with a bunch of people were like, oh my God, Apple proves these models aren't thinking at all. These models are not doing half of what we thought. Oh my gosh, you people who say AGI is so close. What are you saying now? We're not as close as we thought we were. And it was just ridiculous. It was so crazy how I was like, what are you talking about? Like, when you understand under the hood that no one has ever said that they had any symbolic understanding of what was really going on, and that they are still continuing to look for patterns in words and what they've been trained on, then being able to extrapolate into a totally new pattern. I did find it interesting and like revelatory. They actually even told them, here's the algorithm. And so, again, I was like, yeah. So I think, again, it was just interesting. It sort of separates the hype from reality when you see the people who are just completely shocked by this result and CEOs asking, well, what does this mean for our agentic systems where we needed them to do, complex planning? I was like, did it have 1,000 steps? You weren't going to have anybody look at it? At what point, right, is that kind of problem solving needed in industry that you're trying to apply to right now?
Yeah. Who needs the chicken and the fox to be in the same hen house?
Whatever, right? Like, yeah, I'm like, I don't know if you've used it, but I was like, basically getting it to do something like that's 5 steps, especially if you're getting it to do its own planning and orchestration reliably, like that's a challenge. There's not a lot of people who are really accomplishing that for large organizations at this point. Right? And so it's just kind of funny to me that it was like, there was a lot of people being like, oh, I don't need the LLM to do the Towers of Hanoi. Like, what an irrelevant problem. And I was like, again, that's also not the point. No one thought, oh, I'm super obsessed with an LLM that can do the Towers of Hanoi problem. Like, that is also not what we're saying. But that the interesting piece about thinking about how do we test complexity and test the ability to handle complexity, that is actually really cool. So it's not a completely useless stupid paper like some people also came out with. There was another paper that came out. The first author was Claude. That was like, this paper is totally flawed. It was a bad paper. The rebuttal paper is not worth it, but it was basically there were rebuttal papers talking about how stupid it was. It's not a stupid paper. It's got a really good point. They maybe picked a particularly incendiary title that they thought would get attention.
Generated by ChatGPT.
And then the other part that people were like, it was right on the heels of Apple's big demo day.
Okay.
We didn't talk about it because
big demo day. What are you talking about?
There was a big oh god, and I'm going to look silly for not being able to remember the Apple event. WWDC. It was on June.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the worldwide, the developer day, the Apple developer day, which was kind of panned universally for being uninspiring.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not even in my news because nothing showed up. Oh my god.
So the fact that this happened right around Apple's disappointing, kind of showing Apple's clearly not aiming to be an LLM player, right? They're like, we're going to be a devices player. We're going to use these LLMs. They may, I think, secretly have a play around like on-device LLMs where they can totally win.
And they're looking at buying Perplexity.
Oh, interesting. They finally want it on the search game so bad.
They want to stop being dependent on Google. But okay, the reasoning model. So number one, in terms of the reasoning models built on top of the LLMs, right? The entire premise is that you have a lot of data that you train it on, and therefore it recognizes patterns. Now, if you want a reasoning model to reason well, that means you have to have a lot of reasoning data.
Right.
I'm not seeing that much about our internet. One of the biggest problems with the reasoning model training on LLMs, there is not enough high quality reasoning data, which means it has to actually have the problem, go through the steps, solve it, go off, and right? You have to have a lot of these.
Exactly. It doesn't seem like a failure just of LLM.
Yeah, and I'm not sure they're like Minecraft.
We all it's like this is just a general problem in life. There's just enough reasoning happening.
I think the Minecraft like streaming videos are probably not the best. You're gonna get into like, very high complex reasoning. So I think they've done really well. That's the first one. I actually saw Sakuna AI out of Japan, one of the Google DeepMind. They actually developed a brand new reasoning benchmark that is based on very, very complex Sudoku constraints and rules because they happen to find a very large body of video that actually had people talk through the reasoning, the constraints, and all of that. So data is key. There isn't enough of advanced reasoning. If you can't do the 1,000 steps, what is the LLM training on that can do it? Number two, the symbolic reasoning. So defining what is reasoning, that's a very philosophical question. But the symbolic reasoning, there's definitely research that's going into building models using that, how we think, extrapolate, etc. Not here yet. I've looked at several startups.
Transformer-based models do that at all. And
right. It's a different tech. I'm just like, let's criticize a painter for not sculpting well. This is a classic.
I love it. That's such a good analogy. Awesome. Okay, so that's my BS, all in reaction to the illusion of thinking paper. How about you?
I know. I'll be like, and are you through your thinking?
Right.
To criticize the AI guy. Are you thinking? All right. So I am calling this, and as I did it a year ago, the Game of Thrones of AI major players. Okay, let me highlight what's going on. And I really hate this aspect of the industry. So we got OpenAI and Microsoft kind of in contention. Are they frenemies, etc.? Do they? OpenAI wants to break off from the partnership. Microsoft wants to know if they get an ownership of Windsurf that OpenAI just bought, and right. Okay, so you got this like, are we friends? Are we enemies? Starting to sound a little bit soap opera.
Are we cousins who sleep together?
Yeah. Oh my God, yes. I'll let you make those commentary. Meta, you got Meta trying to hire people from OpenAI with like, oh, just throw bags of money at them and see if they go come. And OpenAI goes, yeah, they don't care about your money. Your money's not good enough for me. I can just rewrite this entire thing as a soap opera.
Yeah.
You got that going on. And what else is happening? Oh, so Apple was looking at buying Perplexities or word overtaking. We got OpenAI dropping Scale AI because Meta AI is invested in Scale AI at 49%. So OpenAI is going to drop them. But then Scale AI, the top people are going to join Meta AI while Meta AI is still trying to hire OpenAI. I'm just like, oh God.
It's exhausting. Exhausting.
And I thought when Sam Altman was kicked out as CEO and back for 5 days was a Game of Thrones. Did you guys catch all of that in between all of these bets?
Exactly. We were like, we thought that was peak drama. And apparently that was just the beginning.
Yeah. So next week, Game of Thrones, the AI, the big players of AI.
As far as the bonuses from that Meta offered, did that really happen? That was something where they were like offered like how much, what are we talking?
So the news all quote 100 million. They all say it has to do equity, but there's zero details. You cannot find actual details. Or you have a Sam Altman going, our people are not taking the money. Our best people. That means whoever took it is not our best people. Like, okay, people.
You take 100 million to have Sam Altman hate you.
I will take 50.
I don't know. He's in charge of the AIs. Your life could get very bad. Lie to your laundry folding dreams, Yuying. It'll just not work for you specifically.
It's okay. That one was a Google model. I still got my robot. I'm watching the players. I'm like, I didn't hear Google in there. I think that might still be okay. My bot is safe. My laundry folding bot is safe.
Excellent.
What?
So your BS is this constant movement and drama between the high mid players and the insane amount of money we're talking here. Like they're offering $100 million bonuses to individual human beings.
Yeah, money is not money anymore. Oh yeah, everybody buy crypto. Okay,
it's totally. Yes. Well, that sounds. that's our BS for this week.
A
So
lot
all
of it.
left is for us to wrap up. Are there any things you want to plug this month heading into?
Oh, hey,
Why?
I am. So as you guys heard earlier, I have gone independent. You guys can check out my website, whitneyventures.com, all one word. And I'm launching a new course on Maven, if you guys check it out. And yeah, and this one, of course, in alignment with that branding, is called MIT Mom Ruins Vibe Coding, a weekend boot camp.
I love it.
Yeah, we're going to a little bit of the BS, we're going a little bit of the reality. Can you actually vibe code a side hustle, a new product, or startup? Let's find out.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. And we're going to be doing a Maven Lightning lesson together, right?
Absolutely. That is, yeah.
I think we got it scheduled for. And what was the title? We got, the
100K, the 100K
side hustle. Basically, What are the big mistakes? Everyone wants to have a side hustle right now. You keep hearing about everyone in AI is making millions. Everyone wants a side hustle. What are the big mistakes people are making that are keeping them from making that 100K?
Yep. Lightning lesson, you will find out at least about the mistakes, but if you actually want to learn, not making those mistakes.
Exactly.
More to come.
Yeah, fantastic. Awesome. Thanks so much, Yuying. I want to highlight that, we've got our newsletter, aicareerboost.com. We're kicking off our new cohort on July 15th. So do check us out at aicareerboost.com. If you're in product leadership, business leadership, and you want to learn by getting hands-on, 8-week boot camp where we actually build a prototype using all of these different prototyping and no-code tools. But we learn the best development practices along the way and get a little more techie if you're on the less techie side of the spectrum. No coding required. It's definitely
AI will do it for you.
Exactly. But it's best to understand what it's doing, right, as it goes. Awesome. And that's our show for the week. As always, we love if you like and subscribe our podcast on whatever platform you're on. And that's another episode of AI After Hours. We'll see you all next month. Bye for now.
Bye.